Andy Burke is a mighty fast boat. The captain's a fast man too. Well, he sits all day on the hurricane roof and keeps his eye on the crew. Well, I can't stay here 'cause the work's too hard. I'm bound to leave this town. I'll take my duds and tote 'em on my back when the Glendy Burke comes down. Hey, for Louisiana, I'm bound to leave this town. I'll take my duds and tote 'em on my back when the Glendy Burke comes down.
The Washington 60 Committee, you know, because of the 60th anniversary of the new town, got in touch with us and said, would we do something? And as it happened, it was our 50th anniversary, so it seemed like a perfect opportunity, you know. And we just rang around all the local performers, and everybody just said yes, unless they had a booking somewhere else.
I think everybody welcomes the opportunity to sort of give a final farewell.
Yes.
To box it
Yeah, I
nicely
think so.
instead of just letting it.
Well, Frank and Joss, who led the session for 30 years.
Yes.
Frank, who was great. He was a founder member.
He was our MC for a long time. Yeah.
You know, it just seemed right to do it.
It did.
My king sleeps well in his castle tonight. So brave, so strong, never scared of the fight. With his hammer and chisel, it rings like a bell. For you he'd dig right down to hell. Oh, sleep, my bonny bell.
Well, my name's Tony Wilson, and I'm a folk singer, and have been for quite some time, from about the age of about 15 or 16. And over the past 7 years, I've returned back to the folk scene after having been a storyteller around the world for about 20 years. I've got to say that the Davy Lamp was very formative in my early years when I first started being a professional folk singer in about 1977, as they were very encouraging. And they had quite a wide range of floor singers, their own residents. People like Dundee and Barry Dipper and Frankie O'Neill and Terry and Eric, Bob Fox. All of these people were of a very high standard. So it made you aspire to improve your own game. And one of the things about the Davy Lamp was, if you actually got booked there, you felt as if you'd actually made it.
Now I'm most depressed and sad. When I once was blithe and glad, I could trip about the town both trim and neatly. I was happy night and morn, but of all such joys I'm shorn since I fell so deep in love with Sally Wheatley. Come on. And oh dear me, what am I gonna do? Sally's taken me heart away completely. And I'll never get it back, 'cause she cans with Mr. Black, and they say he's gone to marry Sally Wheatley. I first went to college in Durham in the early 70s, and one of the friends that I made at college lived in Sunderland, and he used to go to a folk club in a place called the Chesters on Chester Road, and he persuaded me to go there with him. So I went along. It was a Saturday night club. I went along. I didn't know very much about folk music at that time. And that was Terry and Eric and Frankie O'Neill, and Jimmy Irvin was there, and all the residents who ended up being residents at the Davy Lamp Folk Club later on in years. And they sort of took me under their wing a little bit, because I was only just beginning to learn a little bit about folk music. I knew a couple of songs, and I sang the floor spot at the Chesters. They then went on to have a folk club in the Instacart Arts Centre in Washington here, and I became a resident singer when I was still at college learning to be a music teacher. And so I became a resident of the club. When they moved over here, I became a resident of the club. And when I finished my college course, I was beginning to get really well known as a singer.
and I thought I would have a go at being a professional. And so that's what I did. I left college, went straight on the road with a great fiddle player who will probably be at the club tonight, Tom McConville, and we were in a duo for a couple of years. I formed a duo with Stu Luckley, who will also be here tonight because Stu plays in the Doonan family band. And Stu and I had a lot of success, and a couple of things that we had a lot of success with were songs that we'd got from Frankie O'Neill, who was one of the leading lights of the Davy Lamp Folk Club. The Bonnie Gateshead Lass and Sally Wheatley were two songs that Stu and I recorded on our very first LP in 1978.
If you're on, I'd just like to introduce Michael. This is Michael doing it over there.
Hello. I've already been introduced to Sophie.
Yeah, but we're talking about for the camera.
Oh,
Not for us.
I didn't realise we were already doing that.
This is Stuart.
Did you not see that red light flashing?
Oh, no, yeah, you came through.
The auto cue's not working for me. And I'm Phil Murray. And this is Kevin.
And I'm Kevin Doonan. I'm his
Can I
brother.
introduce myself? I'm Mick Doonan.
I'm Stu Luckley. Yeah. I've already told you who I am. I'm Phil.
Near Banbridge town, near the county down one morning in July. For a Warren Green came a sweet Colleen. She smiled as she passed me by. She looked so sweet from her 2 white feet to the sheen of her little brown hair. Oh, such a coaxing elf, I had to shake myself to make sure I was really there. Come on. And from Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town. Oh no, maid, I've seen like the sweet Colleen, and then I've met in the county. And again, oh, from Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town. No, maid, I've seen like the sweet Colleen, that I've met in the county town.
Yeah, I would say that the Elliott's Club in Berkeley was the sort of forerunner of the Davy Lamp as well, because we all sort of attended that club, which was a marvellous club and a marvellous atmosphere with the Elliott family, and where nobody was allowed, no matter what the reputation, was allowed to get above themselves.
And actually,
immediately shut down.
Eric and Terry managed to kind of maintain that
Eric and
same
Terry
ethos.
exactly the same.
I remember. You know when Eric and Terry ran the Sunderland Folk Festival?
Oh,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he booked all kinds of international artists.
At the harvest fair, she'll be there. I'm dressed in my Sunday clothes, or in my shoes on right, or my hat cocked right, or a smile from the brown rose.
Before the Davy Lamp, wasn't the folk club at the Berkeley, that pub in Berkeley?
The Elliott's Club.
Aye, but was it called the Davy Lamp? It was the same people who did it anyway.
No, that was the Elliott's Club.
That was
Elliott's
Berkeley's club. Yeah. But that's probably where Terry and Eric would have started, wouldn't
I'm
it?
sure it did. I'm
In
sure they had
Berkeley.
something to do with that.
You know, before they opened this club here.
I don't know why we did it really, because every year we just come, and they just get the piss taken out of us. That's why it wasn't.
But it was always one that we always wanted to do.
But they would be queuing up at 6:30,
Yeah.
to get in, and everybody had to reserve their seats. There's no,
It was a
starting
party,
room.
wasn't it? It was like
It was
But it
just
was
a
a
party,
great,
a New
always
Year's
great
party.
night.
But we did it for 25 consecutive years.
Yeah.
We didn't miss one, did we?
No.
No?
No. But yeah, the band that was always great.
Yeah,
It was,
Good fun.
it's such a friendly club anyway,
Despite the fact that a good percentage of them are red and white Sunderland supporters, which didn't mean a lot to a lot of people.
Yes.
But we did upset a few people because one or two of us support the opposition. But that was always a bit of a crack on the stage as well.
Kevin used to wear his red and white
I know, I should
Sunderland
have
top,
had my shirt on it.
and we used to wear our black and whites.
Well, Kevin mentioned we used to have a couple of dancers with us.
I've been part of the Davy Lamp Folk Club since 1985. I've had a lifetime in folk music, started singing in folk clubs and running folk clubs from the late 60s. And I've played solo or in bands all the way through that period until now. And I'm still going strong, involved in a couple of bands already at the moment. I first came to the Davy Lamp, I can remember the night very clearly. It was the night we moved into our new house just across the way, and while our parents-in-laws were looking after the kids, my wife and I came across here because we'd heard about the Davy Lamp Folk Club, and I'd heard about the Davy Lamp Folk Club from a couple of folk singers called Nick Jones and Dave Walters, who lived near me in my previous address in Peterborough in Cambridgeshire. And Nick Jones and Dave Walters had spoken with glowing terms about this wonderful club in the northeast of England called the Davy Lamp Folk Club, where everybody turned up on a Saturday night dressed really posh to come out for a night out, and how they'd had such a wonderful time there. I then started to attend regularly and became a resident within the first few weeks. I had been one of the organisers and a resident at the Peterborough Folk Club, so it was nice to find a new berth almost immediately. The Davy Lamp Folk Club has had the best folk musicians in the country booked here year after year after year. But that doesn't do it all. You need something as well as that, and it's been superb organisation, not just in the background, which Terry has had a great deal to do with, organising the bookings and organising the rooms and the practical arrangements, but also organisation on the night, getting the room just right, getting the sound system just right, and Eric Freeman obviously has had a great deal to do with that. There's been a succession of really good compares, people who run the night, who keep everything together, introduce the guests, introduce the floor singers, have a chat to the audience, keep everything running smoothly, and also keep everybody enjoying the evening. And foremost of those were Eric Freeman and Frankie O'Neill. They've kept that club really on a very high level over the years.
And if ever you were in trouble, he'd be there before you call. Oh, a band of mining brothers, all for one and one for all. For a miner, I am miner. Oh, miner's what I am. An honest working pit lad. Oh, a hero to the name.
Those were the days, my friend, I thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. The life we choose, we fight, we never lose. Those were the days, yes, those were the days.
Oh, I've been down to my last pair of shoes. Can't even win a nickel bet. Well, them that's got, man, they're them that gets, but I ain't seen nothing yet. I've been going in and out, ducking my landlord. All I seem to do is stay in debt. 'Cause them that's got, man, they're them that gets, but I ain't seen nothing yet.
England green and England grey, look out on a summer's day, with all its fair and fine and gay. To my home, my love, my England. I believe in dignity, Rich or poor, we're all born free. Austerity and slavery, I thought they were behind us. I don't believe the BBC in anarchy or monarchy, or an empire built on piracy. In our history you will find us.
I first came along to the Davy Lamp in about October '87. I used to play in a group on Teesside called Blue Anchor, and we used to have a lot of work, so I was quite familiar with playing in folk clubs. With the group I used to play guitar, mandolin, accordion. When I came to the Davy Lamp I took along my guitar and would get up every evening and sing a song or two as one of the residents. And in terms of accompanying, I had one or two treats, because occasionally a visitor would ask, was there a sort of resident guitarist who would join them on stage and play a song or two. So I did a few of those. The only one that immediately comes to mind is Peggy Seeger. I got up and played a song with her. It was a unique folk club, the Davy Lamp. It fell halfway between a sort of traditional folk club and a concert venue. So we were having concert venue guests, or concert standard, but also room for floor singers to sing and play.
Well, the preachers, they preach for gold, but not for souls. And that's what keeps us poor folk down in a hole. We can hardly get our bread, taxed and froze to death. Tell me, how can a poor man stand such times and live?
I stepped on board of a railroad car beneath the morning sun, and I rode the rails till evening, and I laid me down again. All strangers there, no friends to me, till the darker boat we came, and I fell in love with the Creole girl I placed upon the train.
I'm surprised, man walks out of his gate, and you better believe it, boy, somebody's gonna get hurt tonight. No word, just a working life. 'Cause it's a word, just a working life.
I've been in a few musical adventures over the years. I started out when I was about 14 in a youth club group, and that sort of developed into a four-piece rock and roll group, and we called ourselves the Triffids, playing cover songs. We got into the blues. I met up with a guy called Ray Laidlaw, who was a drummer in a band called Downtown Faction. As years went by, that group became Lindisfarne, and I was long gone by the time they made it in the early 70s. I had a group called the Callies. That was a three-piece, sometimes four-piece folky group, singing Irish songs, and that developed into singing more local songs, and that's where sort of the Davy Lamp comes into the play, because they were running the folk club at that time.
Has anyone seen Gordon the gorilla? Gordon's on the run from Stanley Zoo. Well, the zebra signed on for the tune. He had black and white stripes scanning up and down. They stuck him on the wing because he was quick. The monkeys, they were bloody fools. They headed south to play for Hartlepool. And not a word's been heard about them since.
Here I stand, once more before you, on a journey we both share. And I know you travel with me, and I know that we both care.
And I'm into folk music really via a music called skiffle that Lonnie Donegan started. It sprang out of trad jazz bands in the mid-50s. I looked into the source of his songs, which were by Leadbelly and Woody Guthrie. And Woody Guthrie particularly took my mind because he's a songwriter and known as the Dust Bowl balladeer. And so I got into the American folk songs really through John Lomax and Alan Lomax, who were folklorists. And I really didn't think about my own tradition really. And with coming across the British tradition, I started writing. And then I did come into contact with the people at the show tonight, Terry Freeman and Eric, and my great late friend Frank O'Neill and his wife Beryl, who I hope's here tonight. And but by that time I came up to them in Sunderland when they started their first club. Although it was only 2 or 3 years, I felt quite an experienced performer. In fact, I was the guest at the club when I met them. And then from there, they went to various clubs and they migrated to Washington and eventually to the Washington Arts Centre. And I spent about a couple of years here just coming through and being a floor guest and things like that, and then done a lot of gigs as well for Terry and Eric. And we developed a great friendship, and we used to have a lot of laughs and so on.
But the way we treat each other for all lives.
I decided to go and live in Canada. I went to Vancouver. I got invited to come back to England, supposedly to join Lindisfarne, but found out that I wasn't joining Lindisfarne. I was going to form a new band called Jack the Lad with Ray Liddell, Rod Clements and Simon Cow. And Lindisfarne Mark II went one way and we went another way. And we got more into regional folk music, if you like. That finished in about 77. I then met up with a guy called Peter McIntyre, known as Maxie. And we formed a duo called Maxie and Mitch, which we did for about the next 20 years. And that's when I first played the Davy Lamp. So that was probably in about 1981 or 82 that I played there. And I think the next time I played the Davy Lamp was about 2007.
I would be delighted to be a part of these celebrations, and I think you'll look at the guest list that we've got for this this event and see that we've got just about every well-known and well-respected folk singer in the north of England on the stage.
So, and I was thrilled to be asked. It's a good chance to catch up with a lot of other people who used to go to the club on a regular basis. Well, I could have just said, yes, I'm excited. I'm super excited. It's absolutely a great honour to be included in this.
With a friend at every hand, and together with his band, I will stand, I will stand.
'Twas pleasant and delightful one May summer's morn, when the green fields and meadows were covered with corn.
The blackbirds and thrushes sang on every green tree, and the larks they sang melodious at the dawning of the day, and the larks they sang melodious, and the larks they sang melodious.
Oh, the older I get, oh, the more I think you only got a minute, better live while you're in it, 'cause it's gone in a blink. And the older I get, oh, the truer it is. It's the people you love and not the money and stuff that make you rich. And if they found a fountain of youth, I wouldn't touch a drop, and that's the truth. Funny how I feel like I'm getting to my best years yet. And the older I get, the fewer friends I have. But you don't need a lot when the ones that you got are the kind that watch your back.
Who'll be the lady who will be the Lord when we are ruled by the love of one another? Who'll be the lady who will be the Lord in the light that is coming in the morning? Sing John Bull and tell it to them all. Long live the day that is dawning. I'll crow like a cock, I'll carol like a lark in the light that is coming in the morning. United we stand, divided we fall. The strength of a union will guide us all. Some say the meek shall inherit the land, but the meek shall be weak until they understand. If they come for you in the morning and they're knocking at your door, then they will come for me in the evening. Of that you can be sure. Oh, and that you can be sure. I believe in the union, it's easy to see. I believe in the simple philosophy. If we don't stand together, we stand all alone. It's then they'll come and pick you off one by one. If they come.
The folk club started out of the remains of a club that we ran in Sunderland, the Chester's pub, and we were great friends with Frank O'Neill and Beryl O'Neill and Terry and myself. When Terry started working in Washington at the Art Centre.
Yes, I was the assistant arts director here, and it was 1974, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We moved here, and at the time there was obviously lots of money about because the government were doing a thing called experiment in leisure. Can you imagine it?
When summertime is gone and autumn winds are threatening to blow all over away, 'tis then love will be tested. Arm in arm we'll stand, side by side together, to face the common foe that would tear our love asunder. Tooraloo-ralay, tooraloo-ralladee, tooraloo-ralay, tooraloo-ralay.
we applied for a grant because this place in the Arts Centre was in the process of being converted from a farm, but it wasn't ready. So we spent a year and a half doing little things all over the place, and we got a grant from this Experiment in Leisure to try out. So
actually, that's why we call it the Davy Lamp Folk Club, because we knew that it was going to be in at least 2 venues, different venues, before we ended up here. So
we thought we'd take the name with us, rather than...
Instead of saying Instacart and then the Village Hall, and it was always the Davy Lamp Folk Club from day one.
So the premises that we used was the Miners' Welfare Club and Institute. So we called it Instacart as a sort of... so we started there, and it was a bit of a ramshackle place, I think is the polite way to say it. Before we started, Frank and Beryl, as Eric already mentioned, we had to decorate the stairs leading up to it, and the place was in such bad repair. Health and safety those days.
On a Sunday morning, I went down there expecting the worst, and often there would be lumps of ceiling the size of that lying on top of a table where people had been sitting the night before.
We had very low standards as far as environment were concerned in those days. We started the folk club, Eric and I, and Frank, who's no longer with us, and Beryl, his wife. And we just sort of put the word out. And in those days, there were so many folk clubs, and it was quite trendy, wasn't it? You know, the likes of Bob Dylan and Brian Hyland were in the charts. So you didn't lose any street cred by liking folk music in those days.
It's back to that now, anyway.
I think it is back to that now. Yeah, absolutely. And then a couple of local singers, Barry Dipper and Don Day, who were great singers, who used to sing as a duo, they came along and said, could we be residents? And we said, oh, thanks very much, that'd be lovely.
Then Bob.
And then Bob Fox came along, who was a great singer. What a singer. The word just got round, and we used to get full every week. And I suppose the first notable thing that happened was in 1976. It was the bicentenary of American independence, and we applied for a grant to make an album, which the local development corporation gave us the money to do that. I think we got £500, didn't we? And we got 500 records for that on vinyl, and we sold them for £1.65 each.
Profiteering living there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just sort of grew and grew, didn't we, really?
The next one would be the 2001, the BBC Folk Club of the Year. Was fantastic, especially for Terry and I, because we went down to London, and the night before had been the Brit Awards.
Something like that, yes.
So they left all of the lighting in for us. It was like being in Oasis or the Beatles.
But it was like the Oscars, you know, we had a great time. Yeah. And so there was only 10 clubs ever got that award.
I remember when my mum and dad went down for that, the most disappointed I've ever been, because so playing at the time at the awards was Bert Jansch, and Bert Jansch was playing with Bernard Butler, who was the guitarist in Suede, who was just my absolute hero when I was a kid. So my mum had recognised him from a poster I had on the wall, so she's like, can you sign this for Welly? I mean, he thinks you're brilliant. So he signed it. She brought it back. She gave us it. And I was absolutely delighted, over the moon. She was like, yeah, there was somebody else playing there as well with him. And she was like, Johnny, and he was sitting at our table. Johnny Ma. And I'm like, Mum, if you say it's Johnny Ma. And she was like, Johnny Ma, that's it. And I'm like, and you got his autograph for me as well? And she was like, no, I didn't know whether you want that or anything.
You know, there was a folk club running every night of the week in those days.
We tended to go to the booked guest. You know, so a lot of the clubs were all just to sing around. Somebody would just point to you and you just sing from where you were. Didn't get on a stage, you just sang. But our club quickly went to like a concert club.
It did because of the numbers, really. We had to have microphones and things because of the numbers.
And then we organised a really big concert in
Folk Festival.
In Sunderland itself.
which was a huge event, you know, with a big
Yeah.
budget. So we used to do events in the parks. If the local council asked us to do them, would have a bit of dancing and singing. And
Well, a really big part of the club for me particularly when I was younger, because when I was, this big, I couldn't come to most of the nights, but it was the Christmas party.
Oh.
So every year there's a Christmas party, and it was when something quite serious, because although it was it's a very serious club in terms of, you were expected, anyone that was there would listen and pay full attention and respect
there's no
all the
talking.
performance.
Yeah, no talking during the performance.
But the Christmas party was when you got to see everybody really in their own juice, I think is the phrase. So everybody it would always be fancy dress.
It was always fancy dress.
Everyone would spend quite an inordinate amount of time preparing like a sort of really
what looked like rubbish at the but it wasn't. It was good
pieces
fun.
Pieces of theatre, pieces of.
Well, probably our most famous one was you'll have heard of Warhorse. Well, Bob Fox, our friend, actually was in the songman in Warhorse. So we did our version of that, which was called Warhorse. Eric was the songman, and Ken and various other ones. And it was a huge production, wasn't it, really? And we had a pantomime horse instead of a puppet.
It was a lovely time of my life, actually, I have to say, in that it was, since that big, most of the people who you'll interview I've considered to be like my family, and it is. I've considered myself really blessed to have met all these, Ken, Colin, Bob, Billy, all these people that we're talking about. I've known since I was this high.
But we've had international artists from America, Australia, all over the United Kingdom, as well as the local would try to sort of spread it so everybody got the exposure they wanted, really. One of the things that we didn't know anything about was, the author Joanna Trollope. She must have visited the club incognito. We didn't know she was there. But at some point in the year, one of our regulars came and said, "Did you know the Davy Lamp's in Joanna Trollope's latest book?" And we had no idea. So she'd done this little pastiche of us, and
but mixed us all up.
She did. She portrayed Eric as
ponytail.
Yes, a balding guy with a ponytail. I was the Mother Earth figure, and so she sort of. But it was obviously us, it was Washington Arts Centre that they mentioned it, didn't they?
At any night of the week you could say, I say he was on at whatever, Darlington Arts Centre.
But it's been a wonderful life for us. Hasn't it?
Yeah.
We, as Elliot said earlier, we feel privileged to have met so many talented and wonderful people.
If the music's rubbish, the crack will be great.
Yeah, well, and I think all of the local performers are welcome it, because mostly they don't get to see each other as often as they would like, because they're all performing somewhere else. So this time it's an opportunity for them to get together and, have a bit of crack. So hopefully it'll be a lovely night.
Born in the middle of the afternoon, in a horse-drawn carriage on the old A5. The big 12-wheelers shook my bed. Can't stop here, the policeman said.
You better get born someplace else. Move along, get along, move along, get along, go, move, shift.
If you were to Google best folk singers in Britain and look at the list, you'd find out that they'd all been here at some point. But the luminaries of the folk world have come here. The Martin Carthy, Martin Simpson, beautiful musicians, guitarists, wonderful singers. People who've got their roots way back into the 1950s when the folk revival started. We've had some big bands as well, and that it took a little bit of organising given the size of the room we've got. We're not a concert hall, and on nights when you get a group like Old Blind Dog or the Tannehill Weavers, you're going to get a lot of people coming to see them, but they're going to take up a lot of the room as well. There's not a guest in the country who doesn't appreciate how Eric is the absolute master of insults to the most successful folk musicians on the scene. He levels everybody, he's very good at that, but it's all done with a good spirit, with good nature.
We were incredibly lucky in the northeast, especially in this immediate area, because in South Shields there were 2 clubs, One of them was on a Friday night, and that was the South Tyne Folk and Blues Club. And on the Saturday night there was the Davy Lamp, and on the Sunday night there was the Marsden Inn. The Davy Lamp in this barn-like room. I remember the beams and everything, and it was just the quality of the singing and the strength of the audience. Such an exciting time that would nurture people such as myself, and lots of people who have been floor singers or residents at the clubs that I've mentioned, but particularly of the Davy Lamp, have gone on to have international recognition. There's a gratitude, unending and undying, like gratitude to them, you know, for having given this platform and this space for other people to continue on our great folk music. You know, that's the underlying thing for me. Always grateful.
We put together a group called Backshift from the four main residents of Davy Lamp. So it was Terry and Eric, Ken Tong and myself. And we did a number of bookings, and we were doing a booking down in Swainby. And there was a resident accordionist. I had my accordion on the songs. And he had this huge fancy accordion with bells and whistles and all sorts. So he picked it up to play, and he couldn't play a note barely. He'd obviously only just bought it. And Eric turned to me and he said, "You jammy bugger." Because your big fear when you pride yourself on playing an instrument is to have someone in the audience that's a lot better than you. You'll find any guitarist that with a reasonable opinion of himself will also sort of look at another guitarist playing and say, "That's just fancy. You know, I could do that." As Oscar Wilde said, I have nothing to declare except my genius, but you'll edit that out, I'm sure.
I'll warrant you've never seen me, lass, a name I cannot mention, for fear you'll gan and tell her how I like her, so I do. Why, it's just for lads and lasses for to whisper their affection. The bonniest lass in Gateshead's bonny face has bothered me, try it. The bonniest lass in Gateshead's bonny face has bothered me.
To finish where I sort of began, that particular song, so it's been a journey since 1962 or 61. That song, Pound a Week Rise, is still recorded by young folk artists now. So, and some of them, who eventually approached me, have said to me, "Oh, I didn't realise you wrote that, I thought it was traditional." So it's been a long journey, and one of the most pleasurable things is always connected with the Davy Lamp, because they seem to have the same background as me, the same values as me, and so on. And I've always found a great reception here.
Well, Eric's always, I think he does it with every guest. There's a competition to see who can outdo each other. And Eric always has a go, but he never beats me. He's a funny guy, I love him to bits, he's great. And he has some great introductions and stuff. But yeah, I love them both, they're great.
They're just a great couple. And as I say, with Frankie, I have some great memories with them and some great nights.
So it was quite a sad affair when the whole thing seemed to finish, you know, and it became a monthly club, and I don't think it was the same ever. And she said, "Do you think the lads would come together to do a gig, and who might be involved, you know?" I said, "Of course, it's a great celebration." So it was fairly easy to organise that part of it, you know.
Mind you, she did say, "Only 3 songs, mate."
I know.
The difficulty is remembering them, you know, remembering the stuff we haven't done for a lot of years.
Absolutely. So it'll be interesting tonight.
Not really.
Is it all the right notes, not necessarily in the right notes?
Yes, exactly.
It'll give Terry and Eric more ammunition when we start them mucking up.
Obviously the Davy Lamp isn't continuing, which is a shame. They've done a great job over the years of keeping the music alive, keeping the local music especially, because that's their big thing at the Davy Lamp, is the mainly coal mining songs, a lot of coal mining songs and industrial songs, which should be kept alive. There should be places for those songs to be heard. and the Davy Lamp was a great place for that, and it was very popular. Probably the best, it was the best one around this area. Certainly had the biggest audience, but I always had a great time there. And I was really sorry to have missed the do the other night. Maybe they'll have 100th and I might still be around, you never know.
It's a shame that it's not going to continue in some shape or form, you know, once a month, but hopefully this anniversary concert might lead to at least an anniversary concert every year, in the same way as some of the big festivals. You know, the Fairport Conventions Festival started with just a reunion of the band, and now it's one of the biggest festivals in the country. We've just had such great times at the folk club over the years, you know, a lot of fun, and a lot of people used to think that Eric and I were brothers, twins almost, they said, you know, they used to call us the Chuckle Brothers, and even the kids used to call me their second dad. For everything that I've done on the folk music scene as a professional, and even going as far as getting the job as songman in the National Theatre's production of Warhorse, which I did for almost 4.5 years, I've really got Terry and Eric and Frankie O'Neill and all the gang that were here at the Davy Lamp to thank for that, you know, because I learned everything that I know from them.
Right, here we go. Miner's life is like a sailor aboard a ship to cross the waves. Every day his life's in danger, steady fast, just being brave. Watch the rocks, they're falling daily. Careless miners always fade. Keep your hand on your wages and your eye upon the scale. Union miners stand together. Do not heed the owner's tale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eyes upon the scale. You've been docked and docked, my boys. You've been loaded to one. What have you to show for working since their mining has begun? Worn out boots and worn out miners and the children looking pale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Oh, Union miners stand together. Do not heed the owner's tale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eyes upon the scale.
So to finish, and in conclusion, keep this password in your mind.
What an absolute treat. We are so privileged to have so many talented friends, aren't we? Thank you all for coming, and let's do it all again for a 60th, eh?
Randy Burke is a mighty fast boat. The captain's a fast man too. Well, he sits all day on the hurricane roof and keeps his eye on the crew. Well, I can't stay here 'cause the work's too hard. I'm bound to leave this town. I'll take my duds and tote 'em on my back when the Glenny Burke comes down. Hey, for Louisiana, I'm bound to leave.